get a little hot here. Wednesday. Welcome to another edition of Guitar Geek Live here. And today I'm meeting someone new for the first time. I've heard a lot about Mr. Tony Waddy.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
So you are yet another person referred to me by Matt Bowers. He just keeps chucking me good people, just all the time.
Yeah, Baltimore has a great scene.
Yeah, it does.
We've got a lot of fantastic musicians.
Yeah, we really do.
Great guitar players, great drummers, bass players, vocalists, and it's a small scene, so there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, there is a lot of crossover. And like I told you before, like one of my favorite things about doing this is that I get to meet people, you know, that otherwise wouldn't meet because if you're good, you're working.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're never out, you never get to meet anybody. But I've heard a lot about you, but it's the first time meeting you, first time seeing you. So for those that don't know who you are, what are you up to? What are you doing around town? Where can people find you?
Primarily, I am in Fells Point 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
With my cover bands, but my big thing, my most important band is Splitsville, my original band. And finally, we're back together. All 4 members are back in Baltimore for the first time in, I think, 12 years, even though we've continued to play shows out of town, and I'll get into all that stuff. But we're writing a record and starting to record right now, and it's a process that's changed a lot since 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
you started this exact Splitsville.
Put out a second record. Pardon me.
No worries, dude.
Put out a second record, and after that, with a little bit of band friction, they got interested in doing a side project, and that was Matt and Brant Huseman, the twins, and their side project was Splitsville. They took their friend and guitar tech, Paul Krzyzak, to play bass, and the 3 of them wrote these power pop, Red Bull laced songs. Loads of harmonies, lots of energy.
Yeah.
And it was a great start and a breath of fresh air from what they were doing in the Greenberry Woods, and it just kind of rocketed. They got some good momentum. It was such a change for them that they just wrote a lot of material. We're hammering out some CDs, and it got to a point where they would push themselves and improve their songwriting and stretch their concepts that they outgrew the trio concept. And I was in a band called Guava Stain with Paul Anderson and Nat Bradley, and we had put out a couple of CDs and played around town, and because Splitsville were in Baltimore, we were in Baltimore, you just see each other in the original music scene, and we played a few shows together, got to know those guys a little bit, and when they put out the Complete Pet Soul in 2001, it was really ambitious. It was a 60s radio pop throwback concept album.
That sounds hard to do.
But with like a lot of modern themes, but it was this great album, but it was just so elaborate that their label was in Barcelona, and they had a tour to do, and they basically said, we can't play this record as a trio. It's just, there's too much stuff going on. So what's Guava Stain up to?
Yeah.
I said, well, we just broke up. Do you have a passport? I was like, yeah.
So you want to go and play it today?
Here are a couple of CDs. Could you just learn like 19 songs and just meet us in a week or 2 and let's try and work something out? And sure enough, it went well, and we rehearsed endlessly for about 2 months. Did 2 weeks in Spain, and as I got to know these guys, because I barely knew them, but as I got to know them, we had different backgrounds from the stuff that we listened to. And I was just the rock kid, and they brought me in as, guitar solos and big rock noises to go along with what they were doing.
Yeah.
Fourth harmony. So it was.
You're doing 4-part harmonies,
right.
And you were doing one of the harmonies. You doing any lead stuff?
Thing is, I was the new guy, so they would give me the hardest notes. I would have to sing either the falsetto that was really high, or I'd have to find that weird 9th, or find the 13th, and I'm like, this is way out of my.
That is like something I just could never do that. That would seem so incredibly difficult.
It was challenging because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I was, well, at least there's a roadmap of what I have to learn.
Right.
What I have to do. And I was playing out, not a lot, but I just started playing it. I mean, I was 30 years old, just started playing at Fells Point, so I was just starting that whole cover thing.
Yeah.
Done original bands and was enjoying that, but the idea was, well, what am I going to do? I'm just going to play some covers because my band broke up, so let's just see what's out there.
Right.
And I got to meet all these people, and it was a different scene, and Paul saw me when I was playing at Bohager's and approached me about joining the band, and the timing couldn't have been better, but I was ready to jump into something.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, they already had a label. They'd gotten dropped from one New York label, and they got picked up in this label in Spain. So we did that tour, and I think it was 13 shows in 14 days or 15 days.
Yeah, that's a run.
Which was great. Cool experience. I'd never been to Europe. So my first experience in Europe was with this band that was all over the radio. And
That had to have been really hard, though, like doing, 13 and 14 days, and you're learning all the song, and you're doing the fourth part harmonies, and you're singing 14 days in straight, and it's all like, not like straight down the middle stuff.
It wasn't that difficult because, I always had a full-time job, and you've got to balance your time when you're able to play music. I knew, all right, work is actually being really cool with me.
Yeah.
And they said, that sounds awesome. That sounds great.
Go.
So, do your thing. Of course, I had the vacation time. That wasn't the point. It was like, I need extra time. We've got other rehearsals to do and stuff. When it came time to actually play those shows, when the pressure was on, all I got to do is work for about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Right.
The rest of the day, we got to do some promo, radio, and whatever, and TV at some points. And other than that, just prepare for the show.
Right.
We would do a quick rehearsal in the green room or backstage before we go out. And first show with them, I think, was in Barcelona in 3,500 capacity, small arena. Great show. Opened up for the Super Furry Animals, and I just remember walking out with these guys in a suit because we were doing the whole throwback.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the fuck am I doing? And I was confident enough in my ability.
How did I get here?
And in my ability in the songs, and these guys, they'd all done their thing, so it's like, all right, this is going to be fine. It's going to be easy. And we just went out, we nailed it. And after that, we didn't open up for anybody else. The rest of the shows were our own shows. And it was almost too easy.
Yeah.
We got along so well, and learning about each other, knowing, where the influences came from, because I came from a totally different background than Matt and Brant.
Right.
Paul and I have a bit more crossover, because, I grew up as a Kiss fan when I was 5 years old.
You had some cool parents then.
Yeah, my mom was great. My aunt Karen was she was the one in the family who was like totally into Hendrix. She'd gone to all these concerts in the 60s and 70s. She only listened to her music loud.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was great. But I also had, Paul Simon and Fleetwood Mac and Beatles and stuff going around. And then all of the other stuff. I've got this great R&B from the early 70s and the late 60s, and a great hodgepodge of music. But my thing for playing guitar was Kiss first.
Right.
A couple years later, it was Prince, and then the 80s hit, and I was like, oh, man.
So I saw in that picture I posted, you had that, Prince-looking guitar.
Yeah.
So do you do you cover a fair amount of Prince when you play out?
I have for a while, and my love for Prince coincided, unfortunately, with his dying, and there are a couple other guys locally. Ed Lauer primarily is like another huge Kiss fan and Prince fan, so we have a lot of crossover, a lot of stuff we talk about. But one of the fun parts with singing Prince songs is if you're able to do it, not many people can do it.
No shit!
And being able to confidently do that and be fearless about what you'll try and tackle really depends on if you can do it by yourself or if you have the support group around you.
Yeah.
So Prince dies. Ed calls me after our phones and Facebook are blowing up like mad.
Yeah.
10 minutes later. And so we're on the phone for a while, and I'm like, dude, we got to do something. We have to play. We have to play tonight. I have a show at the Horse. Just sit in. And I was like, yeah, we'll have some Prince conversations. Just, Jonathan Makos was playing drums.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, and Ed and John known them for years, and we're like, let's just play as many songs as we can. Tears and all. And just plowed through. And I knew then, I was
just
like,
winging it?
winging it.
Yeah.
And that was a
that's
Thursday.
awesome.
That was a Thursday. Saturday, before Saturday even hit, and actually after I got off the phone with Ed on Thursday afternoon, I called the manager of the Admirals Cup, which is where I was regularly playing, and I said, I have to play a show in the afternoon. Just set something up because I need the space. People are asking me. We can just fill the bar. That'll be great. And Jason and I started playing at the Cup together about almost 20 years ago. So Jason, Ed, Paul Krzyzak, and called in a few other friends just because it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And for all the Prince stuff that I had goofed off with and all of my cover bands, I knew this was a chance to kind of do something about it. I'd never done a tribute band that was for a purpose, and it seemed like that was the right time to just get some guys together. And that's when the floodgates opened with opportunities. Yeah. So that show happened. One of my cover bands, The Remainders, which has Joe Parsons on drums and Brant Huseman from The Remainders on actually guitar and bass. He's the drummer for Splitsville. And Paul Krzyzak on keys and bass. I had those guys learn an hour and a half worth of Prince songs. Yeah. Got a show at the Creative. This was maybe 6 weeks after he died.
Right.
And it was a great show. And after that, I was like, people are still asking me to do more Prince stuff. I'm like, well, I got all these other fucking projects. Why not just start a band? So I put the word out to a few other folks and started Prance, A Purple Celebration. Yeah. Matt Everhart was interested. Been playing with Matt for a while.
Yeah, awesome.
And Elena Martin, because we needed to do a couple of duets, some Sheila E. stuff, and Gavin Elder, who I've played with for over 20 years. Multi-instrumentalist, like we had enough great players, and Joe, and we're just going to go out here and do this 6-piece thing. Yeah. And I had other people who were interested. I'm like, all right, well, look, the band is a rotating, whoever's available, just come on out. But there's a lot of homework. And, I know we're jumping around here. But
No, this is good. This is good.
It was a project that taught me about how hard it is to be a band leader.
And arranging.
I had to learn, I'm not kidding, I learned everyone's parts.
You have to.
I did the method Prince thing, and I was like, I need to know what everyone's doing, so I'll learn it first. Anyone that gets lost, I'll do all the counting of measures, I'll figure out things, I'll give you all the weird chords that I've found. Gavin and I came out, did a couple of 6-hour sessions, like into 4 o'clock in the morning, digging into keyboard shit. There's little reference points for these things. Yeah. We got things so meticulously down that we're like, all right, I think we kind of have this. And it was the hardest work. I mean, I've done hard shows. I've been, writing sessions when Splitsville did the first full record that I was a part of. It was in 2004. I had done the whole band thing where you're kind of hunkering down and trying to get into the project. I learned so much in just the time leading up to that.
I mean, that seems like a massive undertaking to me, because every time I go to... Our band doesn't do a Prince song as much as I really, really want them to.
Listen up, guys.
But like every time I go to listen to one, I'm like, oh man, how would we arrange it for our band? Yeah. Because it's a 5-piece band with 2 guitars, we don't have keys. And I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, God damn, it's like all those hits, all those little voice-led parts, it's just, there's so much going on. Yeah. And so, whenever I see someone do it right, I'm like, it's like really impressive, because that's real shit. It's really, you gotta do your homework.
You do.
You gotta be good, and you gotta do your homework.
The thing is, it's best to just know the material well enough that you can take it on a journey, pull it towards what your strength might be. Yeah. Like Ed Lauer, Jason Heiser, and Jay Swanson have a trio called the Radio Dials that play on Sunday nights at the Cup. And Ed, of course, knows more Prince songs than I do. And whenever I walk in on Ed's shows or he walks in on mine, we usually wind up giving the guitar to the other guy and just, what songs haven't you done yet? Yeah. And that's our little Prince pocket of tunes, and we'll always play those. And we have our people that come out and see us and expect Prince songs. But those guys are able to pull off things just because, Ed took classical guitar. So arranging it for one guitar to make it sound fuller. He's doing keyboard parts and guitar parts at the same time.
I want to hear it.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I would find a way that solo electric at my shows to be able to do don't know, at least 15 Prince songs in my pocket if I had.
You want to do one?
And the thing is, he was smart with textures and with getting a vibe, creating an environment in the song to either make it funky or make it a really, really sweet R&B ballad, or make it, this rock-driven thing. But the songs are all really simple. Yeah. They're all, most of his shit is 1-4-5.
Yeah.
And it's what he does with it. It's not so much where the changes are, but it's where the accents are.
Yeah.
What does the keyboard drive, and where the guitar's doing anything? And then of course he's got the whole James Brown on the one thing, so the bass player knows it. It's like, it makes it fairly simple, and you get these things, and you're like, these songs are easy.
Yeah.
The hard part is singing and making sure everyone knows where the cues
simple,
are.
but it's hard to do right.
Right. You can. I have heard. Oh Christ! I've walked into rooms and not granted, none of my friends' bands, but I have walked into rooms.
No, never.
And just heard something completely. I was like, why would you? Then again, I've done the same thing with plenty of other stuff.
Sure.
But it just, I don't know. Maybe it's me. To me, it's sacred. Don't fuck up a Prince song. But and anyway, so yeah, let's do a.
Well, yeah. You jump into one the way you do it, and then if it makes sense for me to jump in, I will. If not, I'll just let you do it.
Simple, familiar song. Everyone knows this tune. Everyone's sick of seeing my versions of it on Facebook. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so this is Kiss. Blues and A. So,
okay. Yes!
I just woke up, man. I can't do that.
Oh!
Okay?
Oh, dude.
That falsetto stuff is so good.
You get Matt Everhart on bass.
Oh,
fucking that shit
yeah.
up, and then you get the organ in there and some other stuff.
Oh!
And it's just, it's a blast. It's.
You can sing Prince.
Several people can sing Prince. It's hard to, you know what, the truth is.
You made my goddamn day. That is awesome. Cheers
Seltzer
for the
toast.
LaCroix. Yeah.
We already knew that we wanted to do the hits. We tried to pull out some B-sides. We played a show last July at Power Plant Live, and it was we only had one rehearsal. Gavin and I did all this homework, and then I would rifling off emails to actually Gavin and I did lots of homework leading up to that show, which was on July 7th. Chris Cornell died, I want to say, I don't know when it was, June? Some point in June. Maybe it was late May. And while I'm ramping up to this show that I had booked, I think 3 months in advance,
Yeah.
I did tons of homework. I started the homework in March because like I said, I had to learn all the shit myself.
Yeah.
Then give the parts out, not have everyone freak out. I mean, we got paid for the show, and it was a decent payday. But the amount of work everyone had to put in, it was like a drop in the bucket. It's like, you can't.
Yeah, you're getting paid
that's for the
50 cents an hour.
Right. It was horrible. But everyone was, fortunately, everyone was totally dedicated to the whole thing. But Chris Cornell dies in the middle of this. And I am an enormous Soundgarden fan.
Yeah.
From the first EP, from after that, Louder Than Love is one of my top 10 favorite records.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a big deal, and I was like, I've got to be part of this. I know there's going to be another.
I mean, that dude can really sing. Man.
He can really sing.
I mean, that's like.
And, fortunately, I was singing a lot of Prince stuff, so I'm like, all right, well, it's going to be easier for me to get up there because I'm practicing a lot.
I'm in the territory, at least.
But I knew, just like when Prince died 2 years ago, and we had an anniversary show a year later at the Cup in the afternoon, and it was also great. But that first one, 2 days after he died, was like, the bar was packed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had all these friends come in. It was amazing. It was a great time, and we had some friends there, and I knew that the next time, I'm always promoting. Anyone who knows me, I'm always promoting.
Good.
I'm ridiculous to the point where my propaganda scares my other propaganda because I overdo it. But admittedly, I overdo it. But then again, I'm a Kiss fan, so they overdo everything. But
that's true.
I knew that, unfortunately, the next time some big influence dies, it's going to be an opportunity for our community to run together and play some stuff. And I knew that was going to happen. So we did the anniversary Prince show, and that was at the Cup in the afternoon. Chris Cornell dies while I'm leading up to this Prince show, this other Prince show, the bigger show, and I knew something was going to happen, and I think Matt Everhart took point on it. And so I told him, I was like, I know the first 2 records up and down, but after that, it kind of thins out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know he had Audio Slave and he had some other stuff going on, so just let me know because I want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know Matt got involved, and Matt Berry got involved.
I mean, everybody wanted to be a part of that.
It was different than the Prince thing because it was a different facet,
different genre,
of the scene. So people that I met a couple of guys that I'd only heard about, and it was just kind of like he had this. Everhart had this spreadsheet of, all right, who knows what, so we're just going to start putting musicians in these slots, and then there we go. That's the list of songs, and we'll figure out how we're going to do this, but we need to be available to know stuff.
Right.
And in the very beginning, Matt Berry, who is a phenomenal bass player, I love that guy.
You love playing with him?
I think I've never played with him. I've only sat in. I've grabbed Frankie's guitar a couple times, and I think those are the only times I've played with him.
Yeah, he came over and did one of these and played guitar, and I was like, this is your second instrument? And he's like, yeah, bass is my main instrument. And I was just like, I want to hear you on bass because, you sound like you're a born guitar player.
Yeah, I mean,
so you must be pretty good on bass.
He makes me sound like a slouch on 2 instruments. So I'm like, this kid is nuts. He's that good.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard him sing. A couple backups maybe, you know,
Yeah.
and when he plays with Frankie and BJ. And one of the earlier songs in the set, mind you, I mean, right now it's close to 1 o'clock. It was early. I was hungover when we played the show.
Yeah.
As probably most of the people there were, but Matt was singing and screaming the shit out of this song, and I was like, I didn't know he could sing that well.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew he could sing, but I didn't know that his scream was that strong.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, dude, he needs to be front. The next project you have, make sure you get him up there to sing, because of course, being that good, unless you're Chris Cornell, you're gonna blow your voice out in 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
But so it was great.
I'll sign up for 2.
Well, yeah, one of the conversations was, okay, you can.
No one's taking the whole night.
You can do these songs. I was like, no, I'm good for. I can do these 8 songs, but I can only sing 2 of them, maybe 3, and you got to split them up because there's no way I can do all that shit.
Right.
And I picked a few. Birth Ritual, which was really way too high. Loud Love, and a few others. I can't remember which ones we did, but it was a great time to get everybody together and trade off some stuff. And it was, you know, and again, it's around somebody who's an influence,
right?
And it does bring the scene a lot closer together. And we have, you know, not to take a tangent here, intentionally.
Go on all the tangents. My whole life's a tangent.
The scene right now in Baltimore is better than it's ever been, as far as.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
I've been okay. I turn 47 tomorrow. It's been a long.
Happy pre-birthday.
Thank you very much. It's been a long, long road with me. I started playing guitar when I was 7, and grew up in West Baltimore. Like I said, I was a Kiss fan when I was a kid, because if you're born in 71, by 75 or 76, you had a lot of paraphernalia, and who had the coolest lunchbox. It was serious stuff. But I was in West Baltimore and went to school at an elementary school in Towson.
Uh-huh.
So my life started out right there with some healthy duality, because I'm in West Baltimore, and then I go far away into the county from West Baltimore to school. I didn't, just like I don't see color, I didn't see music as being anything other than what's good.
Yeah.
And I had a huge, I loved Kiss and loved the big sound of that, but I was a huge P-Funk fan. I was a huge...
Yes!
Like, there was
I can tell. I didn't even have to ask you.
There's so much good stuff. And as a kid, you know, I'm soaking all this stuff in. And there's an element that I think, and I've mentioned this to Paul Krisiak a couple times. We talked at length about it. Like, Paul's got an older brother, Charlie, who has a zillion guitars, and he was, you know, the older brother in the 70s. You got Zeppelin handed down to you. You got all this cool shit, and if there's something else that's new that isn't on the radar of everyone else's, he's going to give it to his little brother once he realizes it's cool. And, you know, the older brother needs it. I didn't have the older brother thing.
Yeah.
So I am this kid out on an island who just likes Kiss and thinks guitars look cool. And I can't wait to get an Ibanez Iceman, and I've got to figure out how to make the sound in the guitar solo to God of Thunder. I got to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
But I had to figure it out on my own. I had no resources whatsoever for music. And
it's not like it is now, where it's like you can just...
It's the complete opposite. Like, you have to search and soak. We'd go to the grocery store. I would just buy all the rock magazines and just start reading stuff. And my mom gave me a guitar. She made me play piano for a year when I was 6, and I hated it. And then I started playing trumpet when I was 8. But when I was 7, I got a guitar and taught myself. And I would figure out whatever I could on Kiss records that was easy enough to figure out. I had one book. I would look at the book. I didn't learn theory. I just wanted to kind of cut straight to playing songs, as anyone learning wants to do. But as I got, 7, 8, 9, and I'm playing trumpet, and I'm like, I'm not interested in trumpet. I wasn't interested in piano. I just want to play guitar. And I want someone to steer me in the right direction, but I didn't know that that was even an option. So I would figure out my own shit. And as I got a little bit more familiar with guitar, it wasn't until I got to middle school, junior high school, where I met some kids from other neighborhoods who were into Judas Priest. They were into Motley Crue, because they hadn't come out yet. But like, there were other things, Iron Maiden, and I was like, I play guitar, and a kid from Highlandtown's like, you play guitar? Well, then you must know this, this, and this. Yeah. So here are a couple of tapes of some things. I was like, holy fuck, this is awesome. This is great. This is going all over the map. Players I've only seen pictures of, never heard their stuff.
Right.
And that's when it really opened up, and I'm like, all right, let's learn more stuff. But at least I had exposure to other people.
Yeah.
It accelerated my curve because I wanted to learn more stuff. And then the guy that I was talking to in school, he didn't play, but his best friend played. So, early play date, you get your mom to drive you out to Highlandtown and meet this kid who plays guitar. So, we're just sitting there with their little Ibanez guitars and trying to play these Iron Maiden songs together and Judas Priest tunes. And
how old are you at this point?
I must have been 12 or 13.
Right. Yeah.
And my buddy, since we were 5 years old, Paul Anderson, he and I started a band when we were 12. And we were both Kiss fans. We knew every Kiss song up and down. We both sang, and we sang together a lot.
Yeah.
And we harmonized a lot. I think that's where my early harmony thing started.
You were harmonizing at that young age?
Yeah, because, Gene and Paul would harmonize certain songs in Kiss,
awesome.
And so we would just trade the parts. And, this little way of developing an intuition with understanding things in your own path. There was no internet. There's no cell phone. You have to know somebody, run into the person, talk to them, get to meet other people.
Go to the store, hope the CD's not sold out.
Yeah.
If you can even afford it, they have it.
Go to Gordon Miller or Bill's Music House and just, sit there and play for a while. And when I got to high school is when it really, really started to blossom even more. And this kid that I met in 9th grade named John Carr, he was like, so you can play Eruption, right? I was like, what the hell's Eruption? And he's like, how do you not know how to play Eruption? I mean, I know you can't play it because whatever. And he gave me a tape of it. And he's like, I'll give you $5 if you can learn this in a month. And I learned that weekend. And I come in and I'm playing it. And he's like, holy shit, well then you got to try all this other stuff. So, I got these friends that I just met who were just giving me stuff left and right.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the tracks, I'm still playing baseball and playing sports, and I'm doing. I listen to all this other 80s music. My cousin Tracy, who was the reason why I got into Prince, she and I were really close, and she was 4.5 years older than me. So, sorry to give up your age, Trace. So, all of her girlfriends. Here I am. I'm 13 years old. Her girlfriends are 17.
Yeah.
All these cute girls are coming around. Yeah. And I was like, they really like Prince. Okay.
Sure shit bringing my guitar over.
They also like Madonna and
right.
Culture Club. I'm like, all right. And Billy Idol. Okay.
I know what tunes I'm learning.
And you get these things that tell you got some homework to do. So jump at it and let's get this right.
I see a path here.
Right. So it was a matter of learning things and just having it at the ready so that I can entertain myself and others.
Sure.
And I'll speed the story up a little bit here. But
you're good, dude.
We're entering high school and it's getting to be really serious where I'm working a part-time job and I'm actually able to buy some gear.
Mm-hmm.
I get the Metal Zone pedal, and actually Metal Zone may not have been up at that point. I don't remember which one. But getting Boss pedals, and I'm kind of like, oh fuck, now this is cranked up to a whole new level of shit that I can learn. But I was a big Sade, of course, Prince fan, but like all this other 80s pop stuff. One thing that I found out early on was the metalheads that I was hanging out with that had their thing didn't venture outside of the box.
No, that's true.
And it was frustrating because I knew that they were missing out on something. It was on something that is only going to cater to a certain facet of the scene. And because I had my other things that I had to divide my attention with, that's how I knew I had to stay a bit more well-rounded because I'd have a benefit from doing that.
Yeah.
And learning that my mother loved the song Hello by Lionel Richie when that was out. So I learned the guitar solo for that, which I think was Steve Lukather, I'm not sure. And a couple other things, Tracy's girlfriends love George Michael. I learned George Michael.
So they got George Michael.
Yeah, but I would play this stuff around my friends from the East Side, whatever. But one thing I carried on beyond that was I can't just be. It's cool to know musicians, but I can't just be in one band. There's no way I can do that. And
That's such an interesting point, man.
I discovered because I was serious in high school about original music. Steve Hill was the bass player. He's now in Seattle. He's radio personality of all things. When he's the one that got on radio before any of us. But that was cool. He's really successful out there. Paul Anderson, as I said, we were doing stuff since we were a kid. The three of us, we had this band. We were writing these songs. We were putting out these tapes. We were selling stuff. We were, doing our own kind of grassroots thing.
Mm-hmm.
And really serious about moving to either San Francisco or LA. We're going to do this as soon as high school's over, and as every kid in the 80s wanted to do, wanted to drop out and just leave then. No, we're not going to college. We're just going to jump in a van and leave. We didn't do that, and I'm kind of glad that we didn't. But the original music thing was really, really important, and I didn't even think about covers.
Yeah. And
when I was playing with this one band, it was frustrating because it was focused work where everything had to work neatly. And I realized, you know what, it's not working neatly, and that's why we'd have some rifts and change members and switch out some things. But what I discovered, once I was older and wiser, like I said, when I was 29, 30, I met up with Gavin Elder, and we started doing this acoustic duo. And the great thing about that is Gavin played alt country and a few other things. He was a huge Pink Floyd fan and lots of styles of music. And this was one of the first people I met. He didn't have a problem shifting from one genre to the next.
Right.
He had a list of songs he wanted to record, and he wanted me to play guitar on it. And we did this record together that he recorded, and it was a lot of fun. We played a ton of shows together. Just as original songs and covers. And the covers could be anything from gypsy jazz to...
You did some gypsy jazz stuff?
Yeah, and something like that. And, I get to solo. Stuff and did nothing. We did nothing shifting into a really slow version of Time by Pink Floyd, and then jumping into Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby, done like it was done by Marilyn Manson. And we would just goof off, and we would go around the globe of music, and it was fantastic. And I was like, more projects need to be like this. But I had trouble doing that with more than one person because you can't get everyone on the same page. Mm-hmm. And that's when I met Jason Heiser, and Gavin and I were playing a show. Jason was playing at the Cup, in Admiral's Cup in, I think it was 99 or 2000. His lead singer and guitar player at this gig on a Wednesday got in an argument with his girlfriend. And so the two of them went outside and argued, and the guy went up throwing his acoustic into the harbor. And so I just
probably the end of the relationship.
I just walked into the bar, and Jason's like, "Do you have your guitar with you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we just went through a whole bunch.
It's always some story like this.
And it starts like that, and then he's like, "Well, what are you doing next Wednesday?" And that was
because the dude's guitar is still going to be in fucking harbor.
That was the start of my time at Fells Point. And then I met more people, and then it wound up being, okay, as soon as I change one person, it's got to be a different band because people are coming in and wanting.
Yeah.
That's I'm in 7 bands now, and it's
seven.
So
how many days a week are you doing something?
As I said, I only play maybe 3, 4, 5.
Now, is that on purpose?
My body can't take it.
Yeah, no shit.
My wife and my dog, I need to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And I have a full-time job. It's like it kills. It kills me to not play after like 2 weeks. Like I need to have that reset. Sure. It's awesome. But I've also done the thing where I'm playing music too much, and it's like, just send me back to some normalcy. So, like I said, my life has been all about making sure I get changes and have spinning many plates at once. That's just what drives me, and it's not exhausting to me.
Yeah, it stays fun.
As long as I can control it to some degree, I don't have to be a dictator about it. But some of my bandmates would argue with that. As long as I can have those things available and make everybody happy by shuffling the frequency around.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 10 times in a month if I get the options and don't have.
Are you doing a birthday show tomorrow?
I'm playing with Chang McTang tomorrow. Chang McTang is a band that's been around for about 2.5 years. Christian Stengel, another phenomenal drummer, plays with Speakers of the House, Junkyard Saints, a bunch of other guys. He approached me. Actually, he came to a show where Gavin and I were playing, and he wanted to play with the two of us because he loved what we were doing. He's like, you guys just have no fear about shifting gears, and that's fun. It's challenging to me. I'm like, it's been challenging to me for a long time. Gavin and I have done about, I'd say, 700 or 800 shows in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it's second nature, and we just try and... In fact, the name of that band is called the Tony and Gavin Conflict, because we used to just get drunk and get in arguments during shows. But it's because we were trying to stump each other and throw the other guy off. So it's a spy versus spy concept that seemed to work. It was always entertaining. Christian wanted to be a part of it. He loved doing that. And he's like, I've seen your other bands. If you ever want to do another project, just let me know. And I was like, well, I'm in a gazillion bands as it is. I'd love to play with you because you're a great drummer. But I don't know how to approach it. He said, well, what songs won't your other bands play? And I said, won't because they don't like it? Or he said, won't because they don't like it or because it's too complex. What other things have you wanted to do, but you don't have enough people to do it? Matt and I will play with you, and let's just push each other. I was like, that sounds awesome.
What are some of those songs?
Paranoid Android by Radiohead. Beautiful song. Challenging to play. Requires more than one guitar, but you can play it with one. And it's got the odd metered stuff in there, and it's got Tom York's beautiful voice, and I get to use a bunch of effects. And I was like, a couple of caveats here. I have effects that I never use. I want to be able to use them. I'm going to select stuff that gets
strictly because I want to hit that button.
Yeah, it's like I bought this shit, let me fucking use it. And then there are some things like the Arctic Monkeys, which aren't necessarily difficult, but some of their songs are cool, and I want to be able to do some... We would only play weeknight shows. It would only primarily be at the Admirals Cup. And weeknights, if you don't know, weeknights in Baltimore are the best time to go out and see stellar musicians play. Like guys who are busy earning money with their bands that they're not as happy with on weekends. But they are, because you get the...
That's how you do it, huh?
It's in some cases, man, and I've heard the stories, and I won't name names and sell anyone out. But
feel free to tell the stories.
These guys are they're playing high-profile weddings and expensive gigs where they're earning the cash, but they love playing for what seems to be peanuts in Fells Point, with great players, and
it's good players. It's good fun. Then you make your money on the weekends.
Right, but you really get to dig in and like challenge yourself and make all those hours of frustration worth it, because you just get to really just go nuts. And it's
sounds like I need to come out during the week.
During the week is fantastic. So we knew we would only do one Thursday a month, and we'd funnel in everything from mellow ballads to like Muse songs that like Hysteria that have crazy lots of notes.
Let's play another one that you want to do, maybe with a different sound, something you want to showcase, and then we'll jump into gear, because I know we're running a little long, but it's good.
Yeah.
But let's play another one. Something you're gonna do tomorrow for your birthday.
Oh God, let me think. Something that's. You know what? I'll just play a little bit of the song.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I'll just sit back, man. I'm good.
the Paranoid Android. Great tune. Not the easiest song to play and sing.
Dude, that's excellent, man.
Thanks.
That's excellent.
Fun stuff.
Now, yeah, the real question is, what do you play before that song, and what do you play after that song? Where does that sit in your set?
There could be let's see. I don't know. I mean, we really just, Christian usually chooses the songs from the list. And
come after the, ZZ Top? The AC/DC?
Yeah, there might be.
Right into that?
You Shook Me All Night Long or something like that. Or Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis, or Do I Want to Know by Arctic Monkeys, or Are You Mine by Arctic Monkeys, or... it could be anything. It really could be anything. And the fun
do you use a
part
set
is,
list, or do you wing it?
I usually have a pick list. I'll put songs that usually go well in the first set, in the second set, and the third set.
Right.
And we'll pick based on what the room looks like,
right?
What my voice is doing.
Yeah.
We do a guitar solo version, or guitar, no piano version of Dream On.
That's probably pretty cool.
Which is great, but I have to know that I can't follow that with something that's going to stress my voice.
Yeah,
so
man.
that's the only time I have to kind of pick and choose.
Cool. Well, let's talk about your gear.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I love this rig, and you got all kinds of stuff up here.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear what you use for the rig, and then we'll probably end up calling it a day,
cool.
Something like that. But yeah, what do you use, and why do you use it? I guess you could start with the frock.
Well, the frock.
What is the frock?
Short story, I promise. This is
You're fine.
a guitar that I saw being played by Dan Ryan. He was playing with a band called the Outcalls in the lobby of the Meyerhoff Symphony Hall in Baltimore. I was going to an Esperanza Spalding show, and this band was playing in the lobby, and he was playing a guitar shaped like this. It was white and brown, and I was like, I've never seen that shape before. I've got to find out what that is, and of course, he'll be done at some point. I'll just wait for him to walk by. So I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, it's a guy from Maryland Institute of the Creative Arts here in Baltimore. He's a sculpture graduate named Ben Frock, and I'm sorry, Joel Frock. Ben's his brother. Joel.
We'll be sure to tag him in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Joel built this. His brother plays, and he plays, and he's just like, I want to build you a guitar. So Ben's playing one of the prototypes. This is prototype number 3. Prototype number 2, I also bought, which is being built. The switching is being taken care of right now. But it's 25 frets. It's got a 0 fret, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Really low action, which I wanted. P90s, Spurzels. I've got, with the P90s, I have coil taps that drop it from 8.5 to 6.2. So the proper taps that bring it down, make it really chimey. Momentary kill switch. And these are...
That's what that is?
Yeah. It was already on the model previous, and I was kind of, leave it there. I've never used
it. Yeah.
Never used one before, and then so far with the Splitsville record, I've already used it on 2 songs.
Right.
So I'm going to incorporate this thing into it.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah, but I never use a tone knob. Rarely. Very, very rarely. So I'm like, fuck it, I don't need a tone knob. So master volumes for both pickups. The other guitar that I'll be getting hopefully in a couple weeks has 2 PAFs with series, split, and parallel. So again, all the switching options I needed because I play in cover bands.
Yeah.
I need to be able to change between slinky funk to something that's punchy to
right.
something that's good with distortion in various capacities, and to make it
don't
easy.
worry about that.
But other than that, again, it's Frock, F-R-O-C-K. Frock Guitar is the website. It's tagged on Tony Waddy Music on my Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll tag him for sure.
Fantastic stuff, but it's a well-made guitar. And Dan is in a band called Super City, who I'm going to see on Friday.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And I think they're awesome. And he's an amazing musician. But I just thought, and especially before we get back to gear, there's a sense of style with him. And one thing that I have done with all of my bands is to make sure, you can just kind of show up and play the gig, but in order to pull people from the outside in, make some sense of theater out of it, make an event out of it. And
that's such a good point.
Result off of a little bit of effort.
I know, and I feel like musicians, I know I'm guilty of it, like it's so easy to be like, oh, we're just all about the music, I'm just going to work these parts, and it's just like, I'm not even going to wear a different shirt, I'm just, maybe I'll shower, but I got my notes down.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, because I tell you, instead of, aside from balancing the rest of my life, I could sit home and go over my scales and my modes, but damn it, I'm not going to use them. I know I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to use them in
but the David Lee Roth leg kicks, on the other hand.
The leg kicks, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Dan's got a great sense of style. The band just looks great. They sound great.
Yeah.
And the guitar, it suits him. He's like one of the other ambassadors from Frock that I love the way it looks. And it's over the top because why the fuck not?
For sure. Exactly.
This is a great guitar. Just switch it real quick.
Go for it, dude.
But I do want to plug another guy named Bill Cuniff, and he has his company's called Dutton Instrument Repair. This was my Les Paul studio that I've had since I think 2003, and I got it for Christmas. I went on tour in 2004.
I just noticed the sparkle in there.
10 days later, I went on tour. Did some windmills, didn't realize lighting truss was too low, and I dinged it up.
Did some legit windmills?
Yeah, proper Steve Vai style, Oh. And I
see you got the lock, so you can do that.
Yeah, I love this guitar, and one gig I was playing in Frederick, Maryland, it fell off the stand. I didn't even play it that day. It fell off the stand. The headstock completely snapped, and I put it in the case, and I closed the case. I swear, for 3 years, I opened the case, looked at it. I only opened the case twice because it disappointed me because I broke it. I was like, I can't deal with it. So Jay Swanson from the Mahoney Brothers told me about this guy. Oh, actually, no, he didn't even tell me. He had this great Les Paul that was shinier than any Les Paul I'd seen. I was like, that's custom. What the hell? And he's like, this actually used to be Sunburst, and it got a headstock break, and I had this guy Bill do something with it. He showed me the pictures, and I was like, are you kidding? It was a full break just like mine. And I said, give me his info. He's like, you have to look at these before and after pictures. So I called Bill. I dropped the guitar off. I think it was, he did it on weekends at the time, but I think he's retired now, so he's putting more time into it. But I just said, no rush at all. Haven't used the guitar for 4 years, so take your time with it. In 6 months, I got this back. And he's like, so do you just want it black? And I said, can you put some glitter in there? And so it has...
Do you have any glitter?
Yeah, I was like, have you done the glitter thing? So this has little purple and blue
it looks
sparkles.
Great. Before you leave, I'll take a good picture of it with the lights and put it on Instagram for people to really see.
And Jay goes there a lot and got my new puppy's name put on there. So, and plus, of course, it sparkles like stars, so it kind of makes sense. But nonetheless,
awesome,
it is. Thank you. It is fully repaired and it sounds better than ever. Bill does fantastic work. If you have something that's broken and it's hard to look at it, actually several guys I know have taken stuff to him and just finding out after having known him. But restoration, it's new life. I mean, I got a new guitar again.
It's great.
It's so happy with it. So for the rest of my rig, I've got Egnator amps. I stopped in Guitar Center, just wanted to go around the room. My whole plan was to get an orange. I wanted to get a rock reverb, but I wanted to see what else might be out there that I hadn't heard of.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to somebody there, I can't remember the guy's name, and I went into one of the rooms and he had Black Star, and mind you, this was about 6 years ago.
Right.
He had Black Star combo and an Egnator combo, and he said, well, we'll just start at this side of the room, and which one do you want to try first? And I said, well, Egnator's in the corner, so let's try that one first. And this was the 4-channel Tourmaster that I had, the combo. I told him I need something flexible. This one had 4 channels. I was like, that's excessive, but I will use all of them. So, and the benefit was that it had this.
Is it just like clean, dirt, heavy lead kind of thing?
Yeah, clean, pushed clean, very good crunch, and then kind of over the top that I don't use very much. I just use that one for a boost. It was what I needed, and it was cheaper than I expected. And he gave me some great reviews about it. I read some stuff out real quickly, and I was like, this is, you know what, forget it. I'll just buy the combo. And it was $1,600. It was great. Loved it. I did have to get the transformer traded out, and I found out from the person who fixed it, they said usually transformers are not well suited to Egnators, the one that comes with, the stock one, but traded out with something more robust, and it was great. Then I have a bad back, and that amp was 105 pounds. It was like carrying around the twin. So I was like, I'm going to split and just make it modular. This way, 30-30-30, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
So I got one of these used, bought the insurance, sure enough, transformer blew, was able to get the more robust transformer put in as a replacement as part of the warranty repair. Found another one used, same deal, and I knew what was going to happen. So took it, brought my backup with me. After 2 months of playing, transformer blew. So I'm not saying that these are unreliable amps. I'm saying that
get the big transformer.
You get the big transformer, and you will have a workhorse for. I think I got this one cheap for like $600.
Oh yeah.
And it's a $1,100 amp.
Yeah.
Renegade, and but anyway, I really love it. It's flexible for what my purposes. The 2 speakers are mostly because some of the bars where I play, a big stage is one thing and it makes it simple. But in some of the bars, you get something directional and you can't really satisfy the room. Or, because of the way you're setting up, the rest of the band can't hear you. So I was like, well, this is easy. I can just spin one of them. I can use some reflections for stuff. Makes sense. So then I got the harebrained idea because of Chang McTang and saying, look, let me do some crazy shit with effects. I've always wanted a stereo rig. I've got some ideas because...
So you... okay.
I said when I do an octave shift, I can send dry here and the affected here. I have some ping pong delays. I've got these swirly verbs and all this other stuff that... it's a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's not crowded. There's a good number of people there. Sometimes it's really crowded and that's when it gets lost.
Yeah.
But if you're out on a weeknight and you're listening to a good band and there are 30, 35 people in there, you'll get to hear all the reflective shit.
Right.
And that's all I want. I'm an old dude. I had a couple of bucks. I'm like, this is something I always wanted to do. Here's the band where I'll actually get to use it.
Yeah.
And of course, with all of my bands, I take the same rig.
Right.
It's powered separately. So I have 2 on my pedal board, 2 Eventide H9s. Read enough good reviews with those and thought, okay, I want 2 in the pre and 1 in the post, and I could do all the shit that I want to do. I could go do stuff I have no business doing. And Christian is supportive. Matt's really supportive, but Matt's like a golden retriever. But love you, Matt. But he'd go along with anything. Christian's like, what's with all the fucking shit on the floor? You know, why do you need all this? I was like, I want to play with it. It's my, you know what, dude, you asked me to do this, so just let me do it. But so I have 2 H9s. The first one goes before the preamp. I come out of the effects loop and send it into the second H9, which is in the post.
Right.
That comes out in stereo. It sends one back to the amp and a second one out to this Quilter microblock. So this
what the hell is that thing?
This is just this is kind of like the Electro Harmonix Magnum 44 Magnum, which is just a pedal-sized amp. It has master, gain, and a tone sweep.
Okay.
It can give you a passable get through the rest of the gig tone for the rest of the night if your amp blows.
Yeah, need one of those.
120, 130 bucks.
Gotten you through more than one gig.
Well, not only that, I've had my amp crap out. I use it to power my pod when I play shows with Gavin. I don't play acoustic with him anymore. I just play it electric. Throw it into the pod, throw it into this, bring both speakers. It can handle 16 or 8 ohms. Daisy chain them. It's the easiest load in, But in the case of my stereo setup, I need to power both speakers separately. So this only powers one. I need something fairly transparent. So I use this to power the second one.
So what do you have going through the one that powers?
This is whatever's coming. When I have the second H9 in post running without any effects, you just have basically 2 powered standard tone and solid state powered standard tone. When I put in an effect, primary, usually the dry signal will come out of this one, and the affected signal will come out of this. Unless if it's a ping pong delay where, of course, you'll get the swirl or the sweep or whatever.
Right.
But it's totally convenient. And if this thing breaks, I just buy another one. I've had 2 of these because I accidentally plugged the wrong thing into the wrong thing, and it says as soon as you do that, it's going to explode.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. The Electro-Harmonix 44 Magnum is similar to this, but it colors it a bit more. And the benefit of this tri-Q is I can scoop out the mids and make it sound a little bit less solid state.
Yeah.
And with that, I can, sometimes it gets wasted because one of my drummers will need to hear more amps, so I'll just spin around the solid state one and give the room the tube amp.
That's wild, dude.
But it's great. And then I've got...
By the way, you have this massive snake, everybody.
So this... again, I at one point before I got a pedal board,
you're good.
I was plugging shit in, and it would take me 15, 20 minutes of power supplies and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I bit the bullet, and I bought a trailer trash pedal board, which was awesome, but it was huge. It was heavy as fuck. And then it was so heavy, and I had it was corrugated metal and plywood. So now I just have a pedal train, and it's much better, much lighter. But I had expression pedal for the preamp Eventide, and that's for pitch shifting, effects mix, whatever other goofy thing I might need on a certain patch, and an Eventide, full tone OCD to add some punch to my clean channel if I need it, or to kick up the lead, and I use a Polytune for tuning.
Mm-hmm.
So
perfect.
Yeah, simple stuff.
Awesome. Well, why don't we play one more and we'll call it a day?
Sounds good.
Whatever you want, man. You can sing one, we can just jam one, whatever you want to do.
One. Let's get it.
so much for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. You totally made my day singing Prince, dude. You really did. So everybody, Tony Waddy here, and just one last time, we're gonna put all the links and stuff in the description. And but tell them one more time, where are you gonna be tomorrow night? Where can they come hear you?
I'm going to be at the Admirals Cup in Fells Point in Baltimore, 9:30 with Chang McTang, which me, Matt Everhart on bass, Christian Stengel on drums. It should be a hodgepodge of good stuff. A friend of ours from the UK, it's her birthday also, so we're going to do as many Brit tunes as we can. So.
Awesome.
It'll be fun.
Cool.
Good time.
Well, if you guys are in town, go out and see them, and be sure you check out, what is it, TonyWaddyMusic.com?
TonyWaddyMusic.com and also my Facebook page, Tony Waddy Music.
And we'll tag all those things.
Awesome.
All right, thanks so much, brother.